Alright, we're back with another hacking tutorial from Stealth Data Zero. In my last video, I showed you how to lock your system down using proxy chains and running your network traffic through the Tor network, and that will anonymize your terminal traffic and your browser traffic as long as you're using proxy chains when you open those programs. Here, I'm going to show you one of the more essential things needed after you use a proxy or a VPN. You need to change your DNS, because if you're using the same DNS as your ISP, the DNS that your ISP provided you, if someone looks into your traffic and analyzes it and really digs deep into it, they can find your DNS, especially if proxy chains has a DNS leak, which it does happen. And then they can find your DNS and trace back to your home country and your IP address and your ISP and get all of your information that way. So to truly be fully anonymous, or be more anonymous, I should say, because it's not fully anonymous. There's a lot more you need to do and should do, but using proxy chains and changing your DNS will really lock down your system and have you on the right track. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, what you need to do is, if you just want to check what DNS you're running, I'm not going to enter this. This is the file you need the cat out, so just be cat/etc/resolv.conf, and if you hit enter, it will show you your DNS. It will most likely be 192.168.0.1, depending on what your ISP is, or 10.0.0.1, but it will most likely be one of those two. And if you're running that, you know for sure you're running your ISP's DNS, and by stock you're going to be running your ISP's DNS, so I don't need to check that. And again, the only reason I'm not clicking that is just hitting enter is because it does reveal some personal information. It reveals my host name, and I don't want to put my host name out there like that. So we're going to be this is a very simple video, very easily. We're just going to be editing a file. So you want to type in nano/etc/dhcp/dh, and then it's going to be dh client. So right there's the command, and once you get this open, do not touch anything unless what I tell you to touch here, because you could mess up your networking and how it's set up. And when you picking your DNS, you want to pick a very reputable company, because you could be doing more harm than good by changing to a DNS with a bad reputation or that leaks information or whatever. But I'm going to be showing you the DNS company that I use, and it's also free. So you just want to scroll down. I'm using my arrow keys. Now, if you remember my last video, you know that the comments, the pound signs are comments. So that means that these rules are commented out, which means they're not active. So what you want to do is uncomment prepend domain name server, and then you're going to want to hit space, and will have your default DNS where these numbers are. You'll have your default DNS IP address. So what you want to do is change it to these numbers. So 208.67.22.22, then hit comma 208.67.220.220, and then put a semicolon, I believe it's called. But so you just want to make sure it looks exactly how I have it here, with it uncommented up here, and make sure this line looks exactly the same, and then that's all you need to change. So you want to hit Control O to save it, and hit enter, and hit Control X to exit, And I'm just going to show you the website that I got those that DNS from. And it's OpenDNS is what you'll be using at that point. And here's a little bit about it and whatnot. But down at the very, very bottom is where you get those IP address numbers from. So you just want to make sure you put those numbers in the folder how I showed you, and don't mess with anything else in that folder. And then you simply want to type cat out your file again, and it should say these numbers down here for your DNS. Now again, I can't actually hit it because it shows my host name, and I do not want to put my host name out there like that, but it should say those two numbers just to make sure you're running the proper DNS. And as long as it says those two numbers, you see those numbers in the output, it's about a 5 lines of output, and it's about 3 lines, the third and the fourth line down. It will show your DNS, and it should be these two numbers down here. And again, you're using OpenDNS for your DNS now, not the DNS of your ISP. So if you combine this with proxy chains, your system will be really secure and really locked down. The only thing more I could say is using a VPN with the proxy chains and the change DNS to really lock things down. But just changing your DNS and using proxy chains is definitely sufficient. And you won't look like an amateur, because just an amateur would just use a proxy or a VPN and not change their DNS. You'll look a lot more professional, and it'll be a lot more harder to track you down. So that's how you change your DNS. Hopefully you found this video informative. If you do, drop a like. You can hit me up on my social media and my group Stealth Data 0, or my Twitter at Stealth Data 0. That's Stealth_Data_0. And hopefully, like I said, you found this video informative and you come back and watch some more. Keep on hacking.